Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, I say this is the morning podcast with Jacob and Ethan.
This is hell.
Why don't you tell the guy who literally burns things for part of his living what
Hey
has the
Nathan,
most burn?
Nathan, who's worked on a fire crew with you? Was it me? Or oh no, that was right. It was Jacob. No, it was me. I was part of that company, Dan.
Yeah, Ethan was. He did help me, but I will say Jacob lights a lot of stuff on fire. So I don't know about the whole controlled part, but he does light a lot of things on fire.
One time at the 4th of July, I was in charge of lighting the fireworks.
He was not in charge. Everybody was lighting it, and like a 2-year-old. Okay, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
No, let's bring this
At
up.
least 4. Come on, guys.
No, can I air? I usually put the grievances after you do something. Do you want me to do it before?
Just let's get all the grievances out to start.
Okay, so one, Jacob runs out there with his little
So this
kids
is on the 4th of July
at Jacob's house, and
my parents' house. What year? Probably 2014, probably 13.
I don't know. Anywho, Jacob lights this freaking candle amongst these kids on a patch of grass. Like, first thing when you're lighting fireworks, you find a good barren spot of ground that's level. Jacob did none of these things, lit it, was running away. It tips over and is shooting cannons of fire at everybody.
Oh, let me tell this story.
Can I say the conditions for that year were extremely dry as well, and we always have wheat stubble at that time of the year.
in a wheat field.
Wheat stubble field. Now you may proceed.
So my parents' house is surrounded by fields, and we have a burn pile, and the burn pile ground is pretty level. So 4th of July, we have fireworks. My dad always complains when we light fireworks, but this time, like, we finally convince him. We go out and do it, and we're lighting them off successfully. And then we had bought these rockets, and I don't know, like, why we keep buying these rockets, because every time we light them, something bad happens. But we had these rockets, and I lit one. And, no, it wasn't even a rocket. It might have been a Roman candle. It may have been a candle, because it definitely shot multiple things. It was a square thing. It was balls. Okay, so I'm wrong. It was not this rocket. But anyway, what happens is I light it, and it tips over. And while we are standing with, like, all the little kids, Leo and Ivan were present. So this is about 8 years ago. So these are all little kids. And so we're just like, run! Because it's literally like shooting munitions at us. So we run and like duck around inside the corner of a shed. And then I think it was Ivan. Was it you that kept standing out and watching it, or Pius? But one of the two is like standing outside the shed just watching it as like, like these freaking munitions are going past his face. It's probably Pius. And then, anyway, they stopped going toward us and went away from us and shot directly into this wheat stubble, which I tried to stop the flame that started. Really, at the end of it, I was just so relieved that no one got hurt. I was like, okay, we're all fine. And then I kind of see a little smoke rising in the distance.
Well, I would say I was the first one to respond, but we instantly, like, saw the fire. I screamed. Me and you ran for it. Probably not even 10 seconds after. Oh, yeah. Like, after it was over, we saw it immediately. And we ran, and we were trying to put it out. We took the shirts off our backs, and we're beating it down, which has worked for me in the past.
But it was just so dry. It was just like...
It is scary how fast that wheat field can be.
We had to call it 911, which Nathan is also a first responder. Shout out to our first responders.
So let me just say first responders is kind of a blanket term, but you've got your EMS and you got your fire and you got police. There's entities within the fire or the first responders.
Can you bring it a
Which
little closer to you?
Yeah, not a
Nathan also is pretty much all of those things. He isn't technically police, but he talks to a lot of police guys.
And I like donuts, so I'm right in there with everybody.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, the real problem wasn't the wheat
Every
stubble.
man a policeman.
The real problem wasn't the wheat stubble. The real problem is a neighboring field had a bunch of giant round bales in it. And so I don't know if you know how much giant round bales of hay are worth, but those were pretty valuable. And it got real close to just like catching some of those on fire, and then that would have been a real freaking mess.
Well,
luckily,
people would have lost money, but like it lit up 6 or 7 cedar trees. That was scary to me because when those things light up, those are hot.
yeah. So then Nathan responded, and they got it out pretty good.
Well, and what you guys don't know the backstory too is that was right after the 4th of July festivities that the little city of Ramona had, and
Which he's also you're the fire chief?
a fire chief now, a year and a half.
Ramona fire
at the
chief.
time, yeah.
Damn, you wear a lot of hats.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going.
Dude,
I'll tell you
so much. This is why Nathan's your all-around guy. He does fire for hire. He sells fish on the black market. No, I'm just kidding. But he does a lot of fish.
it's actually a good idea. You want to go in on that one with me?
Officially on the podcast? Yeah.
Right. We should
talk
talk
about that
about
later.
our illicit activities while we're
I'm
recording
just
so
saying,
that
like,
we could.
Dude, Nathan does a lot of side, he's got his jobs, but he's got his side jobs, and then the side of the side jobs. He gets a lot of income from different places. Not a lot of income, but
Nathan
many
likes-
channels.
That's the things. A lot of jobs to get some income. Yeah.
Make money, spend money.
Yeah. So that going back to that day, it was the city of Ramona. They had their little fire department at the time. And I wasn't associated with them. I was associated with Tampa, and we always helped them shoot the fireworks off as far as Tampa, and I was on their department. And Ramona already had 3 fire calls after the main festivities went off. They were busy, and I was actually on the way back to Tampa because everything had kind of finished off. And before I even heard a 911 call, I looked over towards Steve and Vicky's, my aunt and uncle's place, and I could see a glow. And then all of a sudden, my phone blows up. Don't call 911 first. Call Nathan, and then call 911. That makes a lot of sense. Let's delay things by 5 minutes. Get everything really hot and burned first.
Okay, but here's the other thing. Officially you probably have to say that, but you probably relish in the fact that you get to try to put out a fire by yourself for a little bit.
Well, actually, and there was people there. Yeah, there was people there already on that one, though.
Oh.
But I saw the glow, and because it looked pretty impressive from afar. I was turning on the Tampa Road, so I seen it from a distance that the glow was already there before my phone blew up. So yeah, if you have an emergency and you think about calling 911, call them first. Don't call Nathan and then say, hey, should I call 911 for this huge fire? Or I broke my leg. Nathan, should I call 911? What would you recommend? Yeah, call 911, but call me first, then we can call 911 and just delay everything and have more pain and everything else and have more fire.
Did you have
That'd be
someone
great.
do that to you, break their leg, and then call you for
Well,
advice?
just a lot of medical emergency. I get a lot of locals. Hey, what should we do? My
I would agree. And I think
my
that happens
elderly
with
mother
cops,
is
too.
passed out and she's not feeling good and she's on the floor and she's unresponsive. What should probably 911 would be your best bet, and I'll head that way. But until then, call 911.
Right, police will get personal phone calls. Hey, this dude was beating on the door of a house, and I heard a bunch of screaming. Should I call 911? It's like, no. Did you shoot him yet? Oh, well, do that and then call 911. It's always call 911. Nobody's ever saying, hold up, let me get there first.
Yeah,
Right.
that's always confusing. Call 911, and if you want to call me later, if I'm in the area, then you're still going to beat the gun, but
Hit him up.
get 911 first.
Yeah,
But that was pretty impressive day. I was pretty excited. We got it knocked out pretty quick.
Yeah, nothing gets you revved up like a good fire.
Firefighters are firefighters not because
They love preventing fires. It's because they love being in the presence of the thing they love.
I was going to say something about being heroic, saving people, saving stuff from fire damage.
There's some of that.
I want to give props to the people that are on the front lines there, but I would say my experience with firefighters, not just Nathan, is that they love being surrounded by something extremely deadly. If they aren't friggin' putting out fires, they're wanting to start one for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and you look, there's actually a lot of cases out there that younger kids that are 18, 19 years old coming out of high school, they get on their local volunteer fire department, they're getting a volunteer, their call volume's a little low, and all of a sudden we start lighting fires to get call volumes, to get that page, to be able to drive lights and sirens to a call.
No.
Yeah.
There's a lot. You look around, there's a lot of cases of that younger kids start doing that. They'll get on the fire departments, and because they don't have enough calls and they're itchy, they do that. There's a lot of that.
Are you
there.
kidding me? What happened with you? Oh, Maggie's going to say something. You probably can't.
Maggie had
Really?
a classmate that did that.
Damn.
But I feel like, especially
That
if
is
you're
nuts. That's
We've
a
had.
felony.
I can't go into detail, but we've had local, very local.
Really?
Not even kids. I mean, just adults. There's kind of a sickness to it. Yeah, there's actually people, and so I have that sickness. I want to do stuff, but then I also want to make money. So that's why I started Fire for Hire. That's when everything came
Right.
together.
No, that's
You
good.
you make
Little control.
fire, but just in a
little
legal
more
way.
control.
You've
Yeah.
got income and you've got
Well.
insurance. Like you're doing it a good way.
Except that
Right.
one time you burned down the western half of the state.
Right. There's always
Right.
that one time.
What was that? What was that story?
I don't know.
there's a
I
story?
remember at Man Days, Dad was like, when Leonard walked in, and Dad just said, "Hey, thanks, Leonard." Leonard, our uncle Leonard Yurok, is the co-owner of that company with Nathan. But he walks in, Dad's like, "Thank you." Leonard's like, "For what?" For the thousands of burnt lands on our drive here.
Yeah.
Thousands of acres.
Yeah, and then I get phone calls from Steve, Jacob's dad, my uncle, maybe 2 or 3 days later, and even told me that at church they were praying for all the wildfire firefighters and everybody, and that happened to be the one that we had to
Yeah.
miss.
I just know that
Oh,
I was
really?
told
Yeah.
that
Oh my gosh.
I think I was watching the news or someone I knew was watching the news and like, oh, there's a huge fire in western Kansas, several counties big. Right? It was several counties?
It turned out it was one count. I mean, it may have. No, it was one county. It was getting
one
close
county.
to the county line of Dickinson, but
Yeah, and it was a controlled
100,
burn. And
108, 160 acres turned into about 1,200.
Reno?
No, this is right here.
But that was early on, like in the business cycle,
Right,
too, right?
and we've learned a lot from that. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
an expensive learning lesson, but that's
You're gonna
how
have
we
you have to
were able
learn.
We got new equipment, spent more money on better
Also,
equipment.
it wasn't
and-
entirely your fault, right?
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of variables that played in it, but ultimately we like that match, so it goes back to us.
Right.
The Yurok family, we like to start the fire.
Dude, I'll tell you one of the, speaking of burning churches. No, so I was living in Andale 3 years ago, and there was a rainstorm, and it sounded like a bomb went off in the middle of the night. It was, thundering, lightning, but it sounded like there was this huge boom. And you noticed it was big, but it's like it's thundering out, so it's just lightning or whatever. 7 o'clock the next morning, we hear sirens. And this town is small enough, everybody just walks out of their houses, walks a couple blocks to Main Street, and the church is engulfed in fire. It was crazy. It was scary. But evidently the hole was only like a fire was like a foot wide. So the city of Wichita was coming out to fight it. And then they got a call saying, come back into town. It's under control. Or like it had something to do with taxpayers. But anywho, the Wichita Fire Department went back into town and it burned the whole freaking roof down. It was a bad deal.
Speaking of emergency calls, I told you about when they freaking bounced me from county to county when I was lost in the mountains, right?
No.
Oh, yeah. So I got lost on a hike once, and I was lost for about a day and a half. Anyway, so I desperately try to get cell signal, finally get a call off as my phone is dying. I call into the department, and they're like, excuse me, sir, but we believe that you're actually in the neighboring county and you've been misdirected to us. So please hold while we transfer you to the other station. So I literally have been trying for 36 hours to get contact with humanity. I finally get contact with humanity, and I have to sit there for 3 minutes while they transfer me to another county's freaking station.
That happens a lot. Actually,
Yeah.
There's a really good example right up here, just from my house, 7 or 8 miles over towards 77. You have Gary County, you have Morris County, you have Marion and Dickinson. There's actually a quadrant. There's 4. A lot of times wrecks that come out here, it's a 25% chance of getting the right one. I mean, because you will hit off of those towers. There's 4 different towers.
But I feel like if it's a freaking emergency, shouldn't you just be like, yes, let's respond to the emergency. Let's not be like, not mine, not my ball.
Yeah,
Not my deal.
But in the same circumstance, so if it happens on 77 and you're getting Morris County dispatch, and it's actually in Dickinson County, Morris County ambulance is going to come there for their injured people. It's coming out of Council Grove, so you do want a closer,
Right,
you want
right. I get
Harrington or
that,
whatever.
yeah.
So that's why, it may take 30 or 40 seconds or a minute extra, but they're going to get the right one and
And that
to
could
get
be
the
like
closest
10
appropriate.
minutes of driving for one versus the other.
Right.
I just know that the county that ended up bouncing me, they ended up calling me about a month later asking for money. And I said, you guys can all go to hell.
Right, because they saved your life.
No, because they're the ones who no, we're not gonna take this call. We're gonna transfer you. I'm like, okay, but I don't have battery life anymore. We're gonna transfer you. I'm not gonna give you any money.
Well, they actually have. I don't know if you guys seen that, but like when they sell elk tags and all wild game tags in Colorado, from what I understand, out-of-staters now have to pay 50 cents or 75 cents because it's called the Jacob Enact. So they're making their rescue money off.
Yeah, let's not tell that story because that's a can of worms for you. It's a can of worms for Ethan.
My family loves
Rochelle a little bit too.
Well, when I got lost, it was about a day before my sister's wedding. So, but
When you got found, it was the day before your sister's wedding, right?
yeah, man. So, how do we feel about Texas right now? Texas is in the dark.
Who gives a you? You're happy. You hate Texas.
I do hate.
You know,
Texas.
we got two
I hate
cousins that live
Texas.
there that are having problems with that. Kyle, and then
Yeah, what do they say
Aaron.
the situation's like?
he's got a new job. He was supposed to start last week, but it's been held up. He's in Austin, and they've been, I guess, where he's at, out of power and out of water.
Hey, I hope they're doing okay, but you know what? That's what you get for moving to Texas. You know, people moved from California because there was too many power outages to Texas. They get their power turned off, and it's way colder there than it was in California.
Oh yeah.
Like even in the northern part of California in the mountains, like I doubt it got as cold as freaking 5 degrees. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like if Texas is it's a very Texan thing. Like we're Texas, like we're not going to connect to a larger power grid because we don't want da 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 da. And then a bad thing happens, and like, how could it happen? How could it happen?
Dude,
It's because
no,
you're
no.
being a bunch of stubborn asshats.
No, they're connected. Like
They're not. No, Texas's grid is independent of any neighboring state. Most states have a power grid connected to neighboring states so they can pull power if they need to in a time
they were
of need.
pulling from Kansas in the
No, they
in
were
Midwest.
not.
Yes,
No,
they
I
were.
thought
Their
they were-
power grid is.
I thought they were part of that Midwest power grid.
They're not.
Yeah, because
no.
the reason
Texas is, no, they're
no,
not.
no.
They're not.
They
are
I
not.
talked to power guys at the Cozy Burger, which I went to with you and Kyle.
That actually sounds kind of delicious.
It's a restaurant in Salina.
Yeah, but we had me, Nathan, and Kyle put down 30 cozies. They were like, "Oh, how many we gonna eat, Ethan? Were you
Maggie, can we get
competition?"
a fact check on this?
And then we went to supper
Yeah, then we got ice cream.
and beer.
But
This is last
no,
night.
they were
No,
talking
this
about
is last year.
at the Cozy Burger place. They were talking about one of the reasons we were downing our power here is it's getting sent south, like in the Midwest.
That's what I heard.
Right,
too.
because we're connected to Oklahoma. We're connected to neighboring states, but Texas is not part of that.
They said it was a direct response to providing power for Texas. That's fine. That's fine.
Here, Maggie, we're getting the fact check here. Okay.
She is not a fact checker. She does not appreciate
Who's
fact
the
checking.
really? Are you offended by our fact check request?
I could just tell you. She probably doesn't like it. She's got her baseball cap on, so she doesn't have to look anybody.
Okay, well, she doesn't have to fact check.
Yeah,
us.
I sure appreciate it. I mean, we do need to get to the bottom of that.
I mean,
there's-
I just know I'm right, and it's a little bit harder that you guys want
You
to
got
admit
2-on-1 here, so now what?
And that dude and Nathan's been working on a wind farm for the last 6 months as a side gig.
Yeah, another side. Actually, that's sad because that just kind of ended in Mineola. But so, does that have anything, in your opinion? I mean, this is all political, but the windmills and the generation there, them not working because they're froze, is that a
Right.
part of that?
I mean, I know that the natural gas lines, some of them froze too. So I think there were problems with the energy supply. For me, how do I put this? Right. So let's say they were only natural gas. There was no wind or solar. Maybe this doesn't happen. But like to me, the thing that like they should have done is like be part of the larger power grid. Like to me,
No.
that's the real cause of what happened.
I disagree. Because like they have gas lines there, and actually, interestingly enough, one of the largest gas suppliers in the country is Southwest Kansas. One of the biggest natural gas wells, or whatever you want to call it. Also, the world's largest. What is it? What fills up balloons?
Helium?
Helium. One of the largest helium deposits in the world is in Southwest Kansas, which is becoming more and more of a depleted resource because you can't manufacture it.
Helium?
Yeah. So the only way that occurs naturally is like around, I think, radioactive
So
material.
what's helium have to do with Texas's power?
Okay, so anyway, there's all this. Yeah.
Like,
I think it's just really cool
I'm letting you go, but I really don't understand how this deals with the larger.
because they're in the same place where we have these huge natural gas deposits in Southwest Kansas, which are sent
Yeah.
south. I mean, they're sent
Yeah.
everywhere.
Now, I think natural gas supply might be connected to Texas, but the actual power grid, like the ability to pull power from neighboring states, Texas is not connected. And if they had just done that, like every other state does, they would not have had this issue.
I would also say this though, if the same thing happened in Louisiana and they are connected.
Yeah, Louisiana didn't have the same troubles that Texas did.
But,
Louisiana was able to get back online much faster.
But they didn't have anywhere. The cold front didn't touch Louisiana like it touched. Like the worst of it was confined to the Great Plains. The South got cold, but the Great Plains was easily the coldest.
We were really freaking cold.
Right.
Look, we were much colder than Texas, and still somehow we were able to handle it.
But we're used to colder temperatures. That's
well,
what I'm
no,
saying.
we're just freaking Kansas, and they're Texas.
Okay.
We have big cajones, and they just like to talk about their small ones like they're big.
Okay. Yeehaw. No, like they never experienced temperatures like that. If that would have happened anywhere,
Where?
What?
Where?
Dude,
I got no pity for Texas here.
if Wisconsin
Let them freeze.
If Wisconsin got temperatures that were 30 below what they usually get, you're easily going to have the same issues.
Wisconsin be able to handle that. Kansas, we were down to 20 freaking below Monday, and we handled it fine.
Well, I hate that shit. Because we experience 0-degree weather probably once a year, maybe.
How did we handle it fine when we had massive rolling power outages?
Yeah.
I mean that's not really
My power
fine,
supply
but-
was not affected, and I know here you guys were
so
down for
just
an hour
because
or
yours
two.
is not, you're good.
You guys were down
you're
for like
warm.
an hour in Tampa.
I wasn't
it.
out any, but
And we didn't need to be out, but we were sending power down south. Unless
Right, because we were able to handle ourselves, and we just had to help other people.
Jeez Louise, I don't know what makes Jacob angry. The fact that Texas needed help.
have you traveled much in Texas? I'm sure you've been there, but have you?
Yeah,
Besides walking
a bunch.
around, have you actually seen different places?
I was working in Texas when I was at my old company at Cerner, so I had to travel down there a few times. And
So did you get the tour and stuff besides working? Did you see other areas?
I did everything in Austin. Went out a couple different weeks in Austin. Andrew, I don't want to say last names here, but Andrew was working in Dallas at the time, so I was in Dallas for a weekend or two, and then I drove up through West Texas up to see my sister in Altus, Oklahoma. So I've actually seen a fair bit of Texas.
Yeah. Don't you have a little respect for how diverse Texas is, though? I mean,
have-
you got oceans to dry desert on the west.
My level of respect for things goes from like Gandhi is high, Adolf Hitler is low, and the bottom is Texas.
I've been to Texas quite a bit, traveling with the windmills, and I enjoy it.
Their barbecue is inferior.
It is inferior.
Their country music is inferior.
Let me.
Their
let's
kolaches
go
are
back. Let's go
inferior.
back. Whoa. Barbecue. I understand we've got a legion to the Kansas City barbecue and stuff, but you've got to get a little bit of props. They don't use a lot of damn sauce.
Oh,
And
my
they
word.
have true wood flavor
Oh,
to
dude,
their meats.
you are borderline heresy right
Man.
No, I'm gonna say Kansas
There's
City
no
barbecue.
art in what they do. Let's take a big slab of brisket, coat it in salt and pepper, and then smoke
There's
it.
no pepper.
Woo!
There's no pepper.
You know what? Texas, they had some dead cows. They were eating steaks, and they didn't have the resources to put sauce on it or add seasoning or any of that. So they're like, well, the Texas way is just to eat a steak the way it is. The
No,
way God
you're thinking
provided it
the
to
Mexican
us.
gauchos or the Brazilian style or whatever.
Sauce?
If you go to the pit barbecue, the true Texas pit barbecues,
I've been to the quote unquote best barbecues. I waited 5 hours in line once for the best barbecue in Austin.
Which
And
one
Jacob,
was it?
how was it?
And which one was it, and how was it?
I don't what's the big. I'd have to look up the name, but it's the really famous one. Whatever. It burned down like right after I went there, but
Oh, that's weird.
they have a line every day. I know. Well, God likes to punish those who help me. So, because I'm a sinner.
Me and Nathan looked at each other.
But
And we're associated.
that was the only Texas barbecue I had, which I would say like could remotely compete with Kansas City barbecue.
Do you not like the mesquite flavor at all?
It wasn't the flavoring. It was just literally, how do I put this? So I went to one place outside of Austin, a place in Dallas, and I think one other one when I was there. And it's like, how do I put this? Kansas City barbecue is like a full band, okay? Like the sauce is the drums, the rub is the guitars, the meat itself is the vocals, the smoking is the bass. Like there's just all these elements coming together to make this beautiful cacophony of sounds and flavors and wonder. And any one of those parts taken by itself is like worthy of reverence. But just all together, it makes a beautiful sound.
Now, I want to be clear that I didn't say
Beautifully
that Kansas
put.
City.
Beautifully put, by the way. I just got done reading the
You agree with
Silmarillion.
Jacob,
and
wow.
You're talking about like existence coming forth from music. I really appreciate it.
I never put down Kansas City barbecue, and I never put them below anything. That they are the best.
Good.
Kansas City barbecue.
Good.
But if there's a number 2, it's a clear Texas barbecue for me.
Oh man,
What
I
do
still
you,
haven't had
you want a
Memphis
mustard?
barbecue.
You want
Okay.
a mustard
I
Carolina
tell you,
crap?
dude, that Carolina thing is a joke. That's not barbecue.
Okay, we can agree on
That's
that.
pulled pork sandwiches. It's
Yeah,
not barbecue.
with some vinegary
like
mustard
egg
shit on it.
casserole. It's like a yellowish color.
Yeah, it's a baby's diaper type barbecue they slap on there, and it looks
Right.
like crap and
when
it
I
tastes
was
like crap.
when I was walking through the South, everyone in Carolina, well, you gotta have da 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 and da da da. And I remember I like finally ordered North Carolina barbecue.
Just Carol, yeah.
Yeah, and I finally ordered it, and I looked at the plate like, oh, is this a joke? Like where's the meat?
Okay, I just
It's
want
a
to say,
sandwich.
when Jacob's talked about his walks and his travels and his experiences, this is, I think, the pivotal difference between me and Jacob. I want to go to other places to take in the culture and appreciate it. Jacob is looking for fault. He's just like, I've been to Texas, so guess what? I can shit talk Texas. I've been to South Carolina. I'm going to shit talk South Carolina. Okay, not true, but kind of true.
I actually
I would've-
like North Carolina writ large.
I'll say, have you guys been to West
Columbia's
Texas?
nice.
Have you been through Amarillo, El Paso?
Many times, yes.
El Paso?
Just to the east of El Paso, yeah. Odessa, Midland,
A lot of
the Big
despair,
Lake area.
a lot of oil,
Well,
a lot of high school
not,
football.
Not a lot of oil.
Well,
What?
you want to talk about football, man? High school football is huge. Their high school stadiums look like most college stadiums. It's incredible.
Because they have nothing else to live for.
Oh my
because
gosh.
it's Texas.
I don't like Texas just because of the Texas trucks that drive through here. Freaking. Hey, how many minutes are we into this, Maggie? 30 minutes? 30 minutes in, and Jacob is finally broken down.
There we go.
Something's wrong
Well,
with
he's
the mic.
literally just like talking into the side of the
It's
mic.
always literally doing something.
I tell you
Just
what.
tell your story. I don't
Nathan
care.
doesn't talk at you. He talks at the side like a velociraptor.
Finish your freaking story, man.
I guarantee you, if this looked like,
All right,
like
that's
an
all
ice
I
cream cone, I'd
just
be
wanted
closer.
to complain about.
Should we tell the story of Nathan at my
When are
brother's
we
wedding?
talking about weddings?
Go ahead, get it over with. We always do. Every time we meet, let's get it over with.
Ethan, why don't we tell the story of Seth, my brother's wedding?
I don't know if we want to.
we-
Just do
we
it,
could
get
do-
it over with. Everybody
can
knows
do
about
it.
it again for the 83rd
We could do
time.
it. Like I don't really want to explain what happened at the wedding. I want to explain the way back from the wedding because I was, yeah. So we could put this in and then edit it, but we can't talk about how sloppy everybody was.
There was some alcohol involved.
Why?
Dude, it's just not
Don't
good.
be ashamed.
Ashamed.
I own all my actions. They are all emanations from I.
I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about people that aren't in the room.
Oh.
Yeah.
We don't use the last names, so it's very general.
Right.
We'll
The
never
only
be
person-
able to pick out
The only
different
person
names
I'm
in
going
the
to talk
family.
about that was a little sloppy shall go by the name of Nathan.
So we gotta
And
give a
don't
little,
say the last name. 'cause
give a
I-
little
we don't wanna
background. So
ruin
my
it, but we'll
brother
say
got
it.
married to a girl from Minnesota.
And did you get lost before this one too, or did you not?
No,
He
I
found his way there somehow.
got that.
That was before GPS. And
When I
Garmin.
sent my wedding invite to Jacob, I got a map of Kansas and I circled the town we were getting married at. So he wouldn't
one
get
better,
lost.
you should have sent him an Uber and paid an Uber and just everybody assured he'd been there.
So the wedding, we go up there and they find this like weirdly nice, very cheap hotel, right? Weirdly nice, very cheap hotel. And so that's the backdrop. The wedding comes, and we're like weird things are happening at this hotel every night. Like cops are showing up. Like there's always some commotion. So like as a backdrop, the place we're staying, like we like gradually find out is like the like prostitution / like child trafficking center of like the outskirts of the Twin Cities.
I don't know about child trafficking, but definitely prostitution was rampant at this
Ramp,
place.
like we're watching one room where a girl goes and sits in the door, like in a chair. So after the wedding, we're all sitting around a pool, and we're literally watching while there's a room full of people, a room full of a guy or a few guys in there, and there's a girl that's sitting on a chair outside of the room One girl gets her turn finished. She comes out, takes the chair, and the other girl goes in, and we're watching them take turns.
I don't know if I want this on the podcast. Okay, so the place was bad.
And then the guy was in the. Who was the guy in the pool? We gave a drunk his first.
There was like 3 or 4 guys.
Because that's the guy who was telling us about the child trafficking. The guy in the pool.
I don't
Who
remember
was the
that.
alcoholic.
Yeah. We gave a guy a bottle of vodka to drink with us.
Was that the wedding night?
Yeah.
Yeah, I slightly don't
And
remember.
then I bet you
We'll
don't.
get to that.
But he raised up a shot and said to 5 years. And we're like, what? He's like, 5 years sober. Gulp.
You guys got to be part of that. That was very
So
cool.
basically, this is just like where people went. But so we get done with the reception, and we're all having a good time at the reception. We're dancing like fiends, and I think Nathan, maybe you can tell this part, but everyone kept handing you drinks, right, or something. Like, what was that?
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to say his dancing soon transformed into the orbit of Earth. If you ever look into how Earth moves around the sun, it goes in a circle. So Nathan's moving around a circle on the dance floor, but it also tilts on its axis. So not only is Nathan spinning around the dance floor, but he's tilting from one side to the other.
Right.
Almost like a ballerina, really.
So Nathan's hitting it hard, and none of us are really realizing what's going on. And then
It's catching up fast.
Yeah, like you.
There was some whiskey. I mean, there was some hardcore stuff
Right.
going on.
You went from
Also,
0 to
you
10
could
very
put-
quickly.
You could put down a drink or two.
Oh yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's water, tea, beer.
If there's anything that the podcasters should know about Nathan, homeboy can drink anytime. This is my favorite. Okay, sorry.
Just any liquid, really.
Well, he goes to. There's like 3 Chinese restaurants that I've been to him with. They're like all in the Tri-County area. Every single one. Well, there was 2 Chinese restaurants. One's just a diner in Tampa. But every single place, they bring out 2 pitchers of tea for Nathan. As soon as he walks through the door, nobody says anything. They bring him 2 pitchers of tea.
They don't say anything, but they sigh. You can just hear the sigh.
Right, just like the universal, like, life has been too hard on us. Yeah. We know it's about to transpire. But Nathan starts hitting it hard, and one of my brother's friends is, I guess, taking care of him there at the end. And he's like a tiny guy. He's like 5'8".
Yeah.
And Nathan's a big dude.
He's a ginormous
He's a
dude.
big dude. I mean, he's wide. He's kind of tall. Not really that tall. But
Did we get all the bigs out of there? Did we get all
Right,
that?
right.
Okay, just make sure.
I mean, you got some,
Mass.
You got some
there's some mass
yeah.
there.
You got some solidity. And so I'm watching this like tiny 5'8" guy like trying to manhandle this like rolling like boulder, and he's just not happening. We could not get him into the freaking car because he's riding back with us to this weird ass hotel.
So Nathan's getting this guy that's holding him or trying to get him outside is getting angrier and angrier. And Nathan must realize it because then the I love you start pouring out a little bit more. It's all right, man. I love you, man.
What everybody doesn't understand, I was trying to do a favor for Gina's dad.
Yeah.
They were on like keg 2 or keg 3.
That's right. They told you that you need to start drinking more.
Yeah, I need to start drinking more to help get that keg lighter so they could get it back. Why take a partially full keg back?
Right.
That's-
You don't wanna waste
I was
beer.
doing my part. Everybody else was not.
So we get him in the car, and
Okay, but this is where I need to start. This
Okay.
part. So another cousin of ours, she's a little
shall remain unnamed, I think.
she shall. She's pretty sloppy too.
Very sloppy.
Well, and they're not sloppy. Everybody's having a good time, but she cuts her foot on a parking, the cement thing you park on. She cuts her foot, and she's bleeding everywhere. And
This is before we get into the van.
This is before we get to the van, and she just starts laughing because she
Like
cut her foot
maniacally.
off.
Like
And-
maniacally.
And when this happens, everybody, I think your dad's like, okay, we need to move now. So they take this girl, put her to my left, and then, no, she was in my right. And then they put Nathan to my left. I'm in the back of a van between this girl and Nathan. And she is laughing, and she's holding up her foot, and it's bleeding everywhere profusely. And Nathan... His head is rolling around. He has no idea what's going on. His eyes are not focused.
I was
and
not
he starts
there.
like just like
Wait, hold up. So then we're on the drive, right? And we've been talking about White Castle all week. We've got White Castle.
I have a thing for White Castles, yes.
So I just start going, White Castle? And I get Nathan to like start like it's like call and response, White Castle. And I'm like, White Castle? And Nathan, White Castle.
It was like the Marco Polo. But.
Right, we got like a Marco Polo thing going on in the car, and I'm thinking it's the funniest thing I've ever done.
So I'm forced to sit between them. It's awful. And then
And we get to the hotel, pretty much to the hotel.
This is the funniest thing is I just start acting like I'm puking, like, ugh, and then your mom is dying.
Oh,
Stop
man.
it! Stop it!
She's dry heaving and laughing at the same time.
She's not doing well. And then we finally get to this is the best part of the story is these people are losing their minds in the car.
It's just pure like I'm yelling out White Castle. Chelsea's laughing like a freaking mad woman. Nathan's just rolled his head and starting to heave.
Yeah,
Ethan's making
it's
my
catching
mom
up
sick.
At this time. It's catching up big time.
And then we get out and everybody is running out of the van.
You forget. So we finally get to like near the hotel, and then Nathan has just been like a bomb ready to go off the whole time.
Oh,
and
man.
then he finally does.
Oh, yeah.
On the seat, in the freaking side containers of the van. It's like a rocket going to space. But except this, like the fuel just went everywhere.
Oh gosh.
And like this happens, and we pull into the parking lot, and we don't get out of the van so much as just tumble out. Like we fall out, like laughing, like horrified. Yeah,
blood, vomit.
there's blood.
It's,
Oh man! And then I cleaned up the van, and Ethan tended to Nathan at the hotel. Which kudos to you.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've ever told him thank you enough for that.
Yeah.
I remember turning. I don't know, it was you or some. I turned the tuxes back in, and I just wadded it up in a ball.
Oh,
Yeah.
we just
And there was chunks. I mean, just nastiness.
We
That was
didn't even
gross.
try to
That
like
was
get
gross.
our suits and stuff like clean. We just like wadded it all up into a giant ball.
I
put it all in
never.
a bag.
We never got. I thought we were gonna get charged or something
we
for
should
that.
have. Yeah.
That was terrible.
Yeah. But the best part for me was your dad. Steve is laughing so hard. He opens the door and he takes a couple steps out of the car, and this man falls to his knees, his hands and knees. He's crying. He's laughing so hard, and the dude can't stand up. He's just laying on the road on all fours.
And I think my mom is also on the ground, but she's just because she's dry heaving so much, she
Yes,
can't.
I mean, it was like a zoo crashed, or like, I don't know, some horrifying circus event where there's just these crazy characters everywhere. It was hilarious.
It's like this reception went from like being like fairly like everything is okay to like just circus. Nathan, are you embarrassed by this story or bothered by it?
It's been told so many times it just gets over. And you guys never like even talked about the whole blow the whistle song too.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that was
Yeah,
fun.
I
So
got-
this is a bit of a side story, but Nathan and my brother, their theme song together is a song by the rapper Too Short, underrated rapper.
Agreed.
Not a great rapper, but underrated, underappreciated.
10,000 hours of rapping, right? That's in that song.
I don't remember that, but
Oh,
But anyway, so what we did, I think did you buy the Monopoly money or did I?
no, I did. I snuck
there
away
Dr.
from the.
Pepper
I
in
snuck away from the wedding, and I went to a Target that was close by, and I bought like 2 or 3 Monopoly games, and then I found some at the end.
And I found a clean version of Blow the Whistle. And Seth did not know this was coming.
yeah, and
So-
and I bought a bunch of whistles. I bought a bunch of whistles. And I
Yeah.
started handing them out. Nobody knew what was going on.
Right. And so then Nathan, we get the money, and we're like throwing this Monopoly money like it's a strip club. And then my brother goes out in the middle of the dance floor and starts dancing like a freaking stripper and putting the money in his shirt.
And blowing the whistle with the actual whistle.
We were all blowing the whistle with the actual whistles. It was a family-friendly time for all.
Oh, it was
That was
so
prior
fun.
to all most alcohol.
The one I remember was when Sexy Back played, because that was with me, you, and Zach. We just all chips are in. All in. I remember I was like grabbing the leg and like doing the flail. Zach was jumping. You were going at it. Like that was a good one.
Dude, I mean, that was
a good wedding.
The wedding. Like,
Yeah.
when I'm going to think about crazy weddings.
It was
'cause
fun too. The traveling with I wasn't part of it, but like the family traveling in the bus up there. There's stories
the
with that.
bus going up. So,
The rest of the family did not stay at the prostitution brothel that we did because
was- well,
we forewarned them.
Yeah. Did anybody say the name of the hotel? Just
and
Actually,
also,
I'm probably gonna have to believe that for libel,
after
but-
the next morning, like the next morning after the wedding, the biggest thing is like SWAT vans showed up to break up the prostitution ring. There was like 3
Oh,
or
yeah.
I mean,
4
there's legitimate like illicit activities involving sex going on at this place like the entire time we're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leah's going down.
He's out.
The
Nothing puts Leo to sleep like illicit sex.
He's getting a little tired of hearing our BS. No, but that was like a good wedding. They're like, we even had trouble getting there. Like they had Model Ts. We were driving there, and Jacob.
Oh my word! I
Oh,
almost
yeah.
killed half the freaking wedding party.
He couldn't drive a Model T. I got in there, and then
Mine ran out of gas.
well, I ran.
it was a
I was
good
driving.
idea.
I was probably 10 miles on the biggest highway in Minneapolis, and then the radiator fan started shaving the radiator.
My brother's wife's grandpa, great man.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. He collected like 20s vehicles and restored them to how they were in the 20s. And I can barely drive stick as it is, but I'm in charge of driving this like 1920s fire truck from like the wedding, like on the freaking interstate to the reception. And we are coming down a hill. And
We're like 20,
were you
30
in the car
miles.
with me?
No, I had my own car. I was
yeah.
driving. I was driving
It
like,
was like 20, 30 miles.
an hour.
And we're supposed to go like on the interstate.
yes,
Yeah.
traffic that's doing 75 and we're doing 25.
It was not our. It might have been a cool thing to like take them away from the actual
Right.
wedding site, or like have them near the reception hall. But like,
not on interstate.
it was not.
We
that
were
was-
below.
yeah.
We were below minimum speeds on there.
Yeah. So we get down this hill, and I could not get the thing to stop. And I realized like as we're going down, like I could not get this to stop. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I could not get this to stop. And we're going downhill, and I trying to get to slow down because we're coming down this hill. I can't get to slow down, and I look up and I see red light, and I see car to my left, car to my right at the intersection, and I'm like we're flooring this. So I'm like, we're just going down a hill. We're like in this like jalopy, speeding down. Like these two cars are coming toward us, and I can like look over and see them like
Jacob's mom is screaming in the car. We're driving behind him, just screaming.
right. I mean, like, and I remember vividly looking to my right, seeing like one of the members of the bridal party, and then like this vehicle like 10 feet away, maybe a little more than 10 feet, maybe like 15 feet away. But like I remember just like seeing her and then this car, and like shit, we're about to get freaking T-boned. But luckily we just missed it. We were probably about 3 seconds away from getting T-boned, but luckily we got there fast enough. But that was stupid loose.
Oh yeah.